In this day and age, everybody wants bigger, better, and faster products. So after a recent leaked document showcased a graphics card performing at double the speed of its predecessor, excitement in the tech industry was understandably quite high. If true, then this could have been a game changer for the industry. Today, we're discussing reports of a mystery GeForce RTX 4000 graphics card performing twice as fast as its Ampere-based predecessor, which actually turned out to be false. Let's get straight into it then. What's going on? Recent reports had suggested that Nvidia's internal testing for an unnamed GeForce RTX 4000 series graphics card had gained considerable ground on Ampere, but unfortunately those reports turned out to be a work of fiction. It was understood that the unnamed model was not one of the flagship models, with some suggesting that it could possibly have been a GeForce RTX 4080 or lower model. Red flags should certainly have been noticed a lot quicker, as it was initially reported that the impressive performance gains had been made across most applications. The falsified report also went on to say that applications included Autodesk Arnold, Chaos V-Ray, and Blender, meaning that the Ada Lovelace card was around twice as speedy as its Ampere-based forefather. It also got gamers excited by suggesting that some of the tested games included Control, Cyberpunk 2077, Metro Exodus Enhanced Edition, Quake 2 RTX, and Dying Light 2. It's so far unknown why anybody would bother leaking this false report, but Nvidia themselves are known to exaggerate the functionality of their upcoming hardware. The leaker themselves, who obviously didn't know the report was false, actually encouraged caution, referencing Nvidia's previously exaggerated reports as evidence. And it turns out it was all a big hoax. I mean, those in the tech community were probably very skeptical as initial reports rolled in, but probably confirmed their suspicions when they looked into the card's supposed specs. What do you make of this? News of the rumored upcoming Nvidia RTX 4090 release now. Stay tuned. Just last week, Nvidia announced they would be holding a GeForce Beyond broadcast at GTC, and rumor has it they'll use the event to launch one or two RTX 4000 boards. Try and contain yourselves, guys. Several prominent leakers have reported the same news in recent days, pointing to the probability that this rumor probably has something to it. Leakers from Red Gaming Tech, as well as Chipwell and Moore's Law is Dead, have all reported the same thing to the delight of the community. Apparently, the RTX 4090 should be with us in the middle of October, while there's also a small chance Nvidia may launch the RTX 4090 Ti along with the non-Ti version. It's also thought that Nvidia are preparing to drop the much-hyped 4090 Ti with a pretty funky new design too, which will no doubt please fans immensely. As well as this, the leaker from Red Gaming Tech also believes there's a possibility the company may launch the RTX 4070 and the RTX 4080 just a month after the launch of the RTX 4090. All this has been backed up by the senior editor over at Chipwell known as Napoleon, who has more or less confirmed the same rumor as Red Gaming Tech. On top of this, it's thought the RTX 4060 will probably be with us sometime next year. What do you guys make of all of this? Pretty exciting, right? Next up, some positive news in the graphics card space. Stay with us. A recent report on PC Gamer has confirmed that the average price of graphics cards has essentially halved since January of this year. The numbers we're discussing actually come from the sales of graphics cards to retailers by the manufacturers themselves, but these figures still represent a pretty big drop. The average selling price of cards being sold to retailers are no longer the incredibly overpriced figures we had to get used to over the past year, which is certainly a positive. Prices hit an all-time high of $1,077 in the third quarter of 2021, as disruptions in the supply chain thanks to the COVID pandemic saw demand skyrocket. This was a fourfold increase on prices just before the pandemic devastated the world, but it seems as though now that things are slowly getting back to normal, prices are starting to fall into line once again. Demand was also increased as crypto miners saw an increase in profitability of mining, meaning they had no problems buying up the limited stock. And given the vast profits on offer before the crypto winter, the guys in the crypto community had no problem parting with the big bucks to make sure they got their hands on the cards. Of course, all this negatively affected the average gamer, as they struggled to keep up with the insane price increase, which was rightly accused of being unreasonable. However, they will take some reassurance in the fact that things appear to be returning to normal. What do you guys make of this? Suggestions that the RTX 4060 could be the smart choice for PC gamers next. Stick around. With the upcoming launch of Nvidia's GeForce RTX 4000 series, some of those in the know are predicting that the RTX 4060 GPU could be the new go-to for PC gamers. With the card's benchmark score recently being leaked online courtesy of a dedicated GPU leaker known as Kopite7Kimi, who revealed that the AD106 has a typical TSE score of less than 7,000, it is thought that the gaming community have expressed serious interest. To break it down a little, TSE is understood to be the 3D Mark benchmark times by extreme, a pretty standard test for gamers to get a better idea of how powerful a GPU is. As well as this, AD106 is believed to be the codename for the RTX 4060. A score below 7,000, more than likely in the high 600s, spells good news for gamers, as this means the RTX 4060 should be performing at a similar output as the RTX 3070. Of course, the newer 4060 will also offer some added extras, but as of now, we're simply thinking of it as a more streamlined version of the RTX 3070. The need to buy smarter is more prevalent these days given the cost of living crisis, but the RTX 4060 should fall within most hardcore gamers' budgets. If Nvidia can manage to put the RTX 4060 out at a reasonable price, then this would surely be a first-choice card for many PC gamers. Will you guys be checking it out? Next up, a quick look at Intel's first gaming-focused graphics cards. Intel is trying to change its perception in the gaming GPU space. The company has never really been taken seriously by gamers, but that could soon be a thing of the past with the release of their new gaming GPUs. Of course, Intel is a huge player in the tech space, and they're now set to take the GPU market by storm with the release of 4 new GPUs: the A380, the A580, the A750, and the A770. The A380 is the basic model, which comes with 8 processing cores, 2000 MHz clock speed, and a 6GB of GDDR6 memory. There is a significant difference with the A580, as this one has 24 processing cores with 8GB of VRAM. The A750 sees a slight increase yet again with 2050 MHz and 28 processing cores, while the top of the range A770 comes with 2100 MHz, 32 processing cores, and 16GB of VRAM. As we are all too aware, specs alone sometimes don't tell the whole story, but from the outside looking in, these GPUs seem to be able to compete with all of the big players at each price point. These specific GPUs would be the first time Intel have delved into proper graphics cards, so it will just be a case of watching this space. Will you guys be checking Intel's range out? And finally, we're looking at some of gaming's most exciting autumn releases. Dredge is a highly anticipated game available on Nintendo Switch and PC. You are a fisherman in a new town whose residents seem incredibly wary of something. They also warn you to be back before dark, so of course weird things start happening after a little while. While it looks like a chill game on the surface, it really isn't, and turns into a pretty harrowing horror. High on Life is from the same guys who made Rick and Morty, so gamers can expect a sort of comedy alien shoot-'em-up. It's also pretty funny, as you might imagine, and features talking weapons and doors who argue over which one is the most attractive. Yeah, you heard us. Available on Xbox and PC, this one is probably one of the bigger underdogs this release season, but it's definitely worth checking out. Inkulanati is an absorbing medieval game which is inspired by art from hundreds of years ago. The idea is to draw beasts on the virtual manuscript pages, which then come to life to battle each other. It's a pretty cool game which gamers should have a ton of fun with. Which one will you be checking out? As always, thanks for joining us today, and remember to tune in again next time when we'll be discussing all sorts of cool bits. And why not do us a big favor by liking and sharing today's video, while also subscribing to our channel. Bye guys!